So, good morning, participants. Our speaker of this session, Mr. B. Harikishan, is with us. Sir, are you here?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
okay, thank you. So, I would like to introduce our speaker of this session, Mr. B. Harikishan, AWS Certified Solutions Architect. Sir is holding 12 plus years of experience in his IT career and 2 years experience on AWS Solution Architect with a very proven track record in solution design for cloud technologies and in IT infrastructure functions and managed services domain. Sir is highly skilled in developing solutions, procedures, and service standards for project transformation and business excellence. Sir possesses in-depth experience in designing effective solutions for cloud deployment, transitioning multiple projects, and ensuring seamless end-to-end delivery of services. Coming to Sir's technical skills in cloud, with Amazon AWS, the services he is well-fitted with are computing services, storage services, database services, security and identity services, IAM, KMS, networking services, and management tools. Sir is also very much profound with the databases MySQL, MySQL 5.6, RDBMS, DB2, and the languages like Python, Core Java, COBOL, and many more. Coming to his professional experience excellence, Sir is AWS Solution Architect for Global Agriculture Hyderabad, Mainframe Technical Lead Anthem INC Provider and Claims Tower Hyderabad, Mainframe Technical Lead Marriott International Bengaluru, Mainframe Technical Lead SITA Bengaluru, CSF and HP Extreme Migration TSYS Inc. Bangalore, Mainframe Technical Lead John Deere Canada Pune, Mainframe Developer Daimler Trucks North America Pune, DoubleClick for Search Google India, the Ad Management and Ad Serving Technology, and PHP Programmer and SEO Analyst Tulsi Technologies Private Limited, Hyderabad. Sir, we are very much privileged to have an expert for today's session who is so much expertise with so many industries. Hope all our participants are going to carry a lot of knowledge in this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the warm welcome. I hope my voice is audible to everyone.
Yes, sir, it's audible, sir.
Yeah. So, welcome everyone for this session and good morning. I hope you are all doing good. So, let me start presenting my screen and let us jump onto the session. Can someone confirm whether you are able to see the screen?
Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
So, today we are going to learn about authentication in cloud computing, how to add client access, and as well as private and public cloud. So, whenever we think about cloud or any other organization, we think about like how authentication works here. Like, suppose if you are having a normal organization, so it can be any college or it can be any organization, IT organization also. So, wherein first thing comes into picture is like authorized users have to be given access to enter. Right? So, authentication is very important in any aspect if you take it anywhere. So, in cloud also it is very important because authentication with proper permissions, if you are not giving access to proper users, then it could go for a data breach or some other hacking of your website. So that's all. So think that you are entering into a IT software install. You will have to have an ID card, which will be given specific access few floors. Suppose you are having a sales wherein you have multiple companies in that. So every company will have their own ID card, and every company will have their own access. Suppose one floor is for Deloitte, one floor is for Google, and one floor is for some other company. So every floor, not everyone will be able to access it, right? So that is how we have to give minimal permissions. It is not just like your employee of Deloitte, so you can directly go and access the Google floor, which is not right thing. So that is where the security comes into picture. And with security, authentication is one very important topic which comes into picture. We are going to learn more detail about how authentication works and what are the security best practices which you have to take care to maintain this particular security and authentication properly to avoid unnecessary data breaches or unnecessary loss of any data. Right? data privacy to secure the data privacy as well. So let's start with the first point, which is IAM. So I'm just taking an example of AWS here as a cloud provider. You can have different cloud providers like Azure, Google Cloud, or some other Oracle, Alibaba, and all different. There are different cloud providers. So I'm going to take an example of IAM, AWS, and how it works in AWS. So if I take care of AWS, it is like the first thing is IAM, which is like IAM means identity and access management. Identity and access management. So the name itself says you are giving some identity to your particular user. User here is a physical user, okay, and you are giving the physical identity to them that this user can access to few of the services. So anything on cloud is a service. Okay, whatever things you can achieve using on-prem, you can get it achieved from your cloud provider as well. That is also called as service. So you are giving access to a service, nothing but if you are creating a user, you're attaching some policies to it. So these policies will help us understand the level of permission they have, and this should always be very minimal. Suppose if I am trying to add a user who is suppose an admin, right? I have to give complete privileges like administrative privileges to them, right? And if I'm trying to add a role which is like I want to access only few services, like suppose S3. S3 is one more storage service in AWS. If I want to give only access to this particular S3 service, I shouldn't give admin privileges to them. Because if I give admin privileges, they are not matured enough to take care of all these privileges. They cannot handle these privileges properly, and they are only required to access S3. So why should I give entire permissions, which is admin access, which will be like they will be able to access entire things, all the services easily. They can also there can be mischievous employees as well, so who can make sure that your port is open to everyone, so anyone can hack your system. So that is very important to give a proper and minimal privileges to every person. And suppose if for this purpose what I'll give is I'll give only access to S3, so I'll not give access to anything else. I'll give only S3 full access, that too full access or only read only access or write access. You have to be very specific in this, because when we are going for cloud is just in cloud security is one more very important aspect, and because of which people had so many questions earlier, like whether the security is proper or not in cloud. And for that purpose, uh, we have to understand few things, which is like in security is a managed responsibility here. When we say managed responsibility, it is not just the responsibility of the cloud provider, but also the people who are using it. So it is a mutual responsibility of both to take care of security. So for that, the first step comes is IAM. So you might be knowing cloud is like we have public and private cloud. We will go through this in detail, but think that it is a public cloud and anyone can create an account in this and start using the services of cloud. So I can also create an account. You can create an account. Like anyone can create an account in AWS or any other cloud provider, which is a public cloud. You can create and you can start using the resources. So you are almost like sharing the resources. So when you're sharing the resources, it is very important to give to create users and to give appropriate permissions to them, so that your part of services which you are using are secure. And for that purpose, because it is a managed responsibility, AWS has come up with some managed policies as well. The policies are like suppose default users like admin user, power user, and S3 only access or EC2 only access. EC2 is again like a virtual machine in AWS. So EC2 only access. Like that, they have given some managed policies which you can use. Okay, and also they have given some security best practices, which says that you have to enable multi-factor authentication for each and every user, which means not just username and password, but also an extra level of security, like Google does, right? Whenever you try to log in to any other browser which was not identified earlier, and you are trying to log into your friend's system, suppose friend's laptop, and you're trying to access your Gmail account there, then at that second moment, once you add your username and password, username and password, then it gives you one prompt. It says like there is one prompt which is sent to your mobile. That is called as two-factor authentication. Okay. So this is ensuring us that okay, this is the right person who is trying to access Gmail from some other system, some other unknown source which was not identified earlier. So this is called as multi-factor authentication, and this is also applicable in cloud. This is also one of the security best practices which was given by AWS. And permissions are nothing but these are all the policy which is assigned to a particular user. Every user will have a policy assignment. Policy can be like admin policy or S3 policy or EC2 policy or any service related policy. Okay. So based on the policy, based on the access, so it will have some accesses like read only access, write only access to this particular service, or full access to all the services like that. These are all the policies which are helping us to, or it is nothing but a permission which is uh, given by us to help with the security part. So these are all written in the JSON format, which is JavaScript object notification, and also you'll see this in very detail, like what is how we create users and how these kind of security steps come into picture. And also when you are trying to create a user, you will give a default password to them, right? So the default password, when you give, you have some options to reset this option. Like suppose you are the admin, you are giving access to some users, then you create some default permissions or default password for them. Suppose the default permission password is nothing but welcome 123. So this is one password. This is not secure password, right? So you are saying like once you give this permissions to the particular user, once they try to log in, you are asking them to reset the password. You have observed that like whenever you're trying to access into a website, you are given a default password, suppose, and you're trying to log in with the same default password for the first time, it will ask you to reset the password, right? So when you reset the password, it will also ask you for like default permission, like you have to specify an alphanumeric character or a capital letter, a small letter, and some symbol or some numbers, symbols. Like these are all the policies which you are giving in the password, saying that your password should be a minimum of 8 characters length. It should have at least a single lower character, single upper character, uppercase letter. Then you have to have a number. You'll have to have a symbol, right? So these are all the password policies. Also, one of the few of the security best practices. You will see it with a quick demo, like how it looks like in AWS, and then you'll be able to understand more in detail. So now I'll just show you. This is the dashboard which I was talking about. So this is the dashboard which I was talking about, IAM, and this is how management console looks like in AWS. And I was talking about this one. So here, this is called as identity and access management, and it is a global service. Global service in the sense because it is a public cloud, it is open to all. So this is a global. There is no region specific. Actually, it is a global thing. And here you have to create some users. You can see there are security status here below. You see the security status here below. It shows an exclamation mark here, which says you haven't done this. That is why it might not be very secure like it used to be if you follow. So you can see these are first step, second step, third step, fourth step, and fifth step. These are all the 5 statuses which you have to worry about when you are creating a user. So if you are taking care of all those things, that means you are securing your system properly. So first thing is like uh, when we actually create an account in AWS, that account is called as root account. So the root account should only be used for billing purpose because it will have your debit card or credit card details, CC or DC details, debit card or credit card details. So anyone can, if anyone can get a hold of this root account, they can get hold of everything and they can start using different big services, and you will be the person who will be paying it. So first best practice is like you should not use the root account for creating any services. You'll have to use another account called as IAM account, or is also called as IAM user. So here, this is the first thing which you have to see. What is create individual IAM users? You should not use your root account here. Okay. So if you see here, I have logged in as a admin at the rate some root account. This is root account, and when I log in with something, some IAM user, it will be like user at the rate, and then it will show your root account name. So it means I have already logged into a IAM user here, and this is first place of security. Second thing, you'll have to activate MFA. As I told you earlier, like the two-step verification is always important. So to activate your root account, you'll have to so first thing is like you'll have to log in as a root account first, and then only you should be able to activate this MFA. MFA is nothing but multi-factor authentication. So here you'll have to either use Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, or you can use some hardware device like RSA tokens, which will help you to give. It will give you a OTP, random OTP. It will be valid only for 1 minute, and that OTP you have to enter while logging in. So when you do that, then your account is double secure because you are trying to access it anywhere you can access it. You will have your device with you. You can install the Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator on your mobile. You can configure it once, and then whenever you're trying to log in, you open that app, and after logging in with your username and password, give that authentication ID, which is nothing but OTP. Like whenever you log into Paytm, you remember you will get an OTP also, right? So that is to ensure that you are more securing yourself. So this multi-factor authentication also is similar to that. Okay, and that is one thing. Next, after this, we have to create an individual IAM user, which I've already told you. Like we should not use your root account for doing any operations or creating any services. Only root account should be used while creating an AWS account, and it should only be used for billing dashboard. So if you see here, there is an option for billing dashboard. Here on the screen. Okay, so you can see this billing dashboard thing right here. This is the one. This is the one I was talking about. If you click on this, because I am an IAM user, I will not be able to see anything related to that billing, and that access is only given to our root user. So root user only will be able to access all the billing related information, all the credit card or debit card, whatever billing payment methods they have given. All those methods I cannot do anything here. I cannot check it out. So that way you are securing your system initially, first thing. So we will see how to create a user once, and then we'll learn more in detail why we need to have this. Right? Okay. So let me go to IAM again. And now if you see here, there are users, groups, and roles. These are the three important things in authentication purpose. If you go to users, as I told you already, you have to create individual users and you have to assign permissions to them. But if you see the dashboard, what it says, use groups to assign permissions. Okay, we will learn this about this point when we learn about groups. So for now, we'll go and see how to create a user first. Just a small short demo which will help you understand how it works. Suppose I'm giving a user called dev user. I'm giving some name to it as dev user. And here I'm telling them that I want to give them access to programmatic access and also console access. So when I say that, console access is nothing but this is the console which I'm using GUI. If I want to give only to that console, I can give only to that console. If I want to give to both, which is like they can access through CLI or SDK. CLI is like command line interface, like from command prompt also you can do it. So when I know that I'm giving an access to a developer always goes through APIs or CLIs or SDK. So I give access to them for programmatic as well. And also if I want to give, I can give management console access as well. Because I can log in from here and they can create the services from here as well. Right? And now we can see there is an option called auto generate password, or you can give a custom password. If you give an auto generate password, it will automatically generate at the end and it will give you a random password, which is very secure. Or you can give a custom password. Suppose if I say I have given some very default password, and suppose this is the password I have given. Now, you see here, there is a point called as required password reset. It means whenever a person logs in for the first time, he will be asked to reset if you check this box. Okay, and also there is a password policy here. If you click on this, you can see what is the password policy here. It is a JSON format. So if you want to learn more in detail about how to give a password policy, I'll go to IAM again. I'll show you how it looks like. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay. So now I am in IAM. If you see here, there is an option called as apply an IAM password policy. If I click on this, I can click on manage password policy. Here I can create a password policy of my own choice. I can say like minimum password length is 6 characters, required at least one uppercase letter, required at least one lowercase letter, and one at least one number. Then it requires at least one non-alphanumeric character. Okay, it can be any symbols, right? That way I can generate a policy, or I can change a password policy here by like I don't want to enforce this one. If I want to enforce the minimum length as 8, I can change it here. And if I don't want to give small letters, I can remove that. So it's up to you. You can change your password policy, but you have to make sure like whatever password policy you are giving it here, it should be more secure. So by default, it gives you some default password policies, which you can take it as it is and you can use it. If you want to add anything extra, you can add extra, like enable password expiration. Like after 60 days or 90 days, the password will get expired and they'll be prompted to change the password every 90 days or 60 days or whatever days you can give. These are the different options you can give it for a password to change. Okay, so for now I'll keep it as it is, and I'm just trying to show you like what is the default requirement for this. Now, I will click on this. I can remove it. I mean, I'm just removing it for now, but you can add it. This is an extra level of security because they will be changing the password. This password can be achieved by anyone. Anyone can take care of it. So I can do a reset of it also. And I can click on next permissions. And here, when I see the permissions, there are three different ways to assign a permission. Permission is nothing but a policy which says whether you have access to this particular service or not. So you can use it from group. If you already have a group, which I already have, I can assign a user to a group directly. This is the best practice. That is why it is shown first. But if you don't want to go for group, you will do other things also. Like if you already have a user, you can copy the permissions from an existing user as well. This is one more way. And the third one is like attach existing policies directly. This is the managed policy which I was talking here. So here, if you see, this is the managed policy which I was talking. Uh, AWS has come up with some default policies like administrative access. If I click on this, I can see a policy summary here in JSON and also in a normal textual format, which helps me understand like, okay, this is the access level I have. These are the services I have access to, and this is the access level. This is full access here. And you can see there are many services. So almost every service will be there here, which will have full access to it because it is an administrative access. You can keep on checking out. There are many services in it, more than 150 plus services. So this is the allow service. One more very important thing here to understand here is allow and deny. These are two important functions or permission policies. When you say allow, you are allowing it. When you say deny is taking high precedence everywhere. If you are having same policies in both the group and the user, which we'll see in the detail, uh, the deny permission will take more. So deny is very strong. So deny will be taking more precedence. So for now, just I'll give an administrative access to it, and then I'll create. I can add some tags like saying that okay, this is a dev user developer. I can add multiple tags here, 50 tags I can add. I can view for review. So I can create a user here. Now, if a user tries to log into this particular thing, so this is one more thing. Yeah. So after you have created a user, you can see there is a secret access key here, okay. And it is not shown here. There is one thing called as access key ID and one thing called as secret access key. These two are the different things because we have selected programmatic access. These are the keys which are required while you are logging in or you are trying to use the command line prompt to try to access your AWS resources. So you have to give your access key and you have to give your secret key also. I can download that CSV file also, and that file will have all those credentials. I don't want to show it here because that is one more security breach. So and one more thing, you can send an email to this user with the login credentials. So they will have this file also attached that will be sent to their particular user. So this is one more thing which we are going to discuss in roles when we discuss about roles. This is one more very important point we have to discuss. Now I'll close it. So I now have created a dev user. You can see there is no group attached to it because we haven't discussed anything about groups right now. And access key age, it is none because it is just created. Today it is created. So there are different things you can see here. Multi-factor authentication is not enabled here. By default, it is not enabled. So if you want, you can enable it by default. So here, if you see here, there are two policies attached automatically. One is like administrative access, which I have given already. One more is I am user change password because I have said that he or she has to change the password at the moment he logs in. Right? So this permission gets attached automatically, and there is no group attached here. Tags I have given as name and developer. Security credentials, we have discussed about this. Access key ID and secret key ID. If you see this, access key ID is visible, but secret key is not visible here. That is the reason it is asking us to download the file first, because that will be shown only once at the time of creation of your user. So this way they are ensuring, so cloud by its own is ensuring like the security is taken care by not enabling it. But you will say like, suppose if I miss out on the security key, so what will I do? How will I get this security key again, right? Then you can do one thing. You can create new access key and you can download the file again. So this same step we have seen earlier, you can download it now and you can make the earlier one as inactive. So the earlier one which came along with your user creation will be inactive, or you can delete it also. And then you can use the new one which you have created just now, right? This is one more way you can secure your programmatic access as well. So we have learned about users now. Now we will see how to. When we come to dashboard, we have created individual IAM users. This is that we haven't activated MFA. So this MFA is for root account, and also you have to activate MFA for each and every user also. So when I say user, in user, when I go to dev user, I don't have any MFA. Here we have seen this access key ID, but if you see here, assigned MFA device, we don't have any device here. Okay, so we have to either click on manage, and you can see there are three steps here. One is virtual MFA device, which is like a authenticator app installed on your mobile or a computer. It can be Google Authenticator example, and or Microsoft Authenticator app, which is available on Play Store and App Store. You can get it from there, and then once you are done with, you can select this one, or you can go with some other devices like uh, RSA tokens. I'll show you how RSA tokens look like. So RSA tokens are like this. When you click on this button, there's a button here. When you click on this, it keeps on changing the OTP here. So this OTP will work only for 1 minute. So after 1 minute, again the OTP will change. So this way it is highly secure. It generates a random set of numbers, which will make your access and permissions more secure. This is one more device. For now, we'll go with virtual MFA device and continue it. Now, I have Google Authenticator app downloaded already on my system, on my phone. So I'll try to authenticate this. And one second, open this. So I have an authenticator app, and I can configure it by showing the QR code. I show the QR code and try to add from my Google Authenticator app by scanning a QR code. I scanned it, and now I have to give the code 1 and code 2. So I have got a code 1 which says this one. And once after 1 minute, it will have one more code generated that I have to enter here to confirm that this is what I'm syncing these two devices now. Once this is synced, next time when I try to log in, it will ask for this particular OTP as well. Giving this and I'm clicking on assign MFA. Now I have successfully assigned my virtual MFA. So this is one more security step which I have taken already. So here, this is the device. It is a virtual. It is stored as dev user in my Authenticator app also. If I can show you. So this is how it looks like. I have three accounts here. Third account is one. This is what I was talking about. It will give you some OTP numbers every time. Okay. So now this is one step we have done. Now I'll have to create a group because the third permission which says is use groups to assign permission. I don't want to use users directly to add to attach any policies to it. I'll have to create a group. Why? Because there are few advantages and advantages of groups. Let me show it with an example here. So think that I have 100 users. Suppose if you are working for an IT organization, you will have thousands of users. Suppose 10,000 users I have in my organization, and in the 200 users, I need to give access to suppose 20 policies. Okay. So if I want to give this, I'll have to create 200 users anyways, but again, I have to assign 20 policies to them. So it will be 220 times I have to do this. Now, if I create a group in this, if I create a group and assign policies like 20 policies, this I have to do it only once. And I keep on adding 200 users. So 201 times I have to do it. Now, if I have to change any other policy, if I want to add suppose 10 policies more, I can keep on adding multiple policies here based on the requirement. So I again here I have to change all the 200 users. I have to search every user, go to every user and try to attach all the 10 policies. But here I can create a group, right? So with this group, I can add 10 policies here, and these all policies would be applicable to all the users by default. Okay, so that is the advantage of having a group, and that is the reason we create a group. And they are also saying like use group to assign permissions. This is a secure way of doing it. So I'll create a group here. I already have some groups, but I can create a new group here. Suppose it is a dev only group. Give any name to it. Next step, and I can give some access to only S3. Suppose S3 is one of the service, which is a storage service. Think of it like a Google Drive. I'm giving full access to that particular thing. Okay. So people who are assigned with this, they will only have access to S3. And now, while creating a group, you see this is the group which I have created already, dev only. And now when I go to users, I have created dev user. I click on this and I'll say in the groups, add user to groups, and here I'll add dev only group. Now, when I click on this, you can see some permissions which are attached here, right? This is attached from dev only group. Now, when I go to permissions, I can see this is from group and this is attached directly. So now I'm saying like I don't want to give administrative access to this particular developers. I wanted to only give access to S3 full access. So, but still I have attached individually for this particular user. So it will have access to all the three. But think that if you are having a contradictory permissions, like you are having administrative access here, allow access, and if you are having administrative deny access here, then deny will take more precedence. It is not group or user which is going to take more precedence on the process. It is the deny or allow permission which is going to take more precedence. Deny is always high. So I will remove this because this is not the best practice. I'll remove this policies from which are attached directly to the user, and I'm only going to use a group to attach any permissions or policies. So this is the security best practice. That way, if you keep on following all the security best practices which are given by any cloud provider, that means you are already following all those security steps. So your responsibility you are taking care of. Now, now I have given permissions. Groups are there. I have security credentials, which is like MFA is also access is there. MFA is also there. Security keys also I have. I have downloaded those. So this way I'm saying that my this thing is very much more secure, right? So rather than giving administrative access, I gave only S3 access because only S3 is the requirement for now. If I want to add anything else, I can keep on adding services. That way, I'm securing my system more in a better way. There is one more point which is called as roles. Once we are done with this groups and users are for individual persons, physical people. But roles, when I say roles are not for physical people, it is for AWS resources. So in AWS resources, we have suppose for virtual machine we have EC2, and for storage we have S3. Suppose if my EC2 or virtual machine wants to talk to any storage service in AWS, so for that you need to create a role. Okay, role what it does is it gives you temporary password and username password, and it will authenticate automatically. You need not provide any credentials here. It will authenticate automatically, and then it will connect from your machine to your storage service from where you can download the videos or images or whatever. It is an object storage, so you can download all those related files, which is required for your program. So if you see here, users are usually a physical person, and groups are usually like you create some admin group or DevOps group or any other engineering team or design team, and then you assign users to the particular teams or functions which contains users. So you have to assign policies through groups only. That is the best practice. It is not that you cannot assign it from users, but it is the best practice to follow. And then third one is roles, which is for resources of AWS. Here, EC2 is one resource and S3 is one more resource. So to access these two internally, you have to create a role. We'll see that role also. I'll show you with a small demo how it looks like in role. So I have created a role called S3 full access. I'll show you how to create a role also, which will be making a clear, everything is clear. So I'll do one thing here. I'll have to select a service here, first thing. So source and destination service. So here our source is nothing but EC2 and destination is nothing but S3. So I'll select the source as EC2 because I have to give access to EC2 and then the destination should be S3. So I'll go with EC2 and then I'll go with next permissions. Now, what permissions I have to give for S3? I need to give full access. While search for managed policy, which is given already by AWS, rather than creating my own, I can also create my own by policy, generating the policy. You can create a policy here, but I always try to see if I have a default policy given by AWS or not. That way, it will be easier. So, if I click on this, I have S3 full access. Yes, this is what I wanted. So, I will select this one and then go to tags. I can say this is EC2 S3 full access. The name should be, the value should be clear so that you can understand, okay, this is the role which I have to assign. This is the role, and then you can click on next review. Role name I have to give EC2 role full access. Then I can click on create role. So this way I have created a role which will access my EC2 with the S3. Okay. So I have two different roles with the same name. I'll delete one. Okay. Now, what I have done, I have now to see it in action, like how it works. I'll have to go with this one. I'll have to create an EC2 machine. So EC2 is nothing but a virtual machine. We will quickly see how we will not go in more detail of it, looking at the time constraint. So we'll just quickly create an EC2 instance. It is nothing but a virtual machine creation. So the one which is existing, I'll delete it because it's not required for now. I will create a EC2 machine and then I'll try to connect it to our S3. So here I'll go with the default AMI, which is Amazon Linux machine. I'm taking it, and I'm going with the default options here. I'm not changing anything here. Give the name as virtual machine VM. I'm going to configure some security details. These are all default options. I'm not going to change anything here. Just click on launch. So here, this is one more security thing, like for authentication. For authenticating that you are the right user to access this particular server, you need to create a key pair. In key pairs also we have two key pairs here. One is public key pair and one is private key pair. Public and private key pair. So key pair is like a authentication mechanism for authenticating and connecting with your server. Suppose this is my laptop and this is my server, right? So think that public key is like a lock. Public key is like a lock which anyone can see, and private key is nothing but which I have stored it in my system, and that key is used to open this door. Okay, so this is called as this is private key, and this is a public key. It will be like default, some value will be there. We will see the public key also how it looks like, private key also how it looks like. So we will create a private key first, and then only we can assign that key to any EC2 instance. So I have already created a key pair. It is of format .temp or .ppk. ppk is like a putty private key, which is used to help us to log in through putty. because it is a Linux system. I cannot directly log into Linux system. I need to have a terminal because I have a Windows machine. I don't have a terminal. I'll go with PuTTY, which is a software which is helping us to SSH into this particular machine. So don't worry if you are not able to understand anything about it. I'm just trying to show you how we can log into this particular thing. So I have created a key pair already, which is a new key pair. I'm using this key pair and acknowledging it. I launch the instance now. So now my virtual machine is created. Within few clicks, I got my virtual machine created. Now using this virtual machine, I'm trying to log into this particular server with the private key which I already have. So I have already downloaded the private key here. This is the private key, new key pair, and I'll show you how to log into this particular machine using that PuTTY. So after a few seconds, you can see this is in running status, and I have my public IP here, using which I can log into this particular EC2 machine. And I haven't assigned any role to it, right? So without assigning any role, it will not be able to talk to S3. I told you like I wanted to access EC2 with S3, but because I haven't created any role for it, I haven't attached any role to it while creating a virtual machine, I will not be able to access it. So for that, I can go to actions, go to instance settings, and then attach a role. You can see here, attach or replace an IAM role. When I click on this, I have many roles. I wanted to use EC2 S3 full access. Okay, and then I will click on apply. So now role is also attached. Now I should be able to access my S3 storage using this server. Let me try to open PuTTY and try to log in this. So to log into a Linux machine, it is like EC2-user at the rate IP address, and I'll have to use SSH option because it is a secure shell. It is a Linux machine, not a Windows machine. So for Windows machine, you use RDP, which is Remote Desktop Protocol, which is like you have to give your IP address and then you give username and password, and then logging in. Here, because it is a Linux machine, you have to SSH into it. So I'll click on SSH, go to auth, and then browse for the key pair. So I told you like key pair is one thing which is important for us to authenticate that you are the right user. And this is the key which is going to be helpful for opening the public log, right? Now I'll click on open, on yes. Now you can see I have logged into an EC2 instance. Now, if I want to access AWS S3 LS, S3 is the service which I want to access, and this is the format. It looks like this. The format is like if you want to access any services internally, it will be like AWS space service name, and then you have to give command name. What is the command you want to use? So here my service name is S3, and I want to list the files. So I am using ls. So I am saying AWS S3 ls, and I click on enter. Now you can see there is a response, right? It says hurry new bucket 468. So if I go to my EC2 machine and I go and check in S3 bucket, so this is the S3 bucket, I can see there is only one bucket which is nothing but hurry new bucket 468, which is the same thing. I can see it here. That means my server is now able to access our S3 service. This is the S3 service wherein I have a bucket here. I can directly use AWS services S3 LS to directly log into this particular thing. Right? So this is one thing which I wanted to show you about role. So this is how roles help. If I don't give this way, suppose if I don't want to go with the role, what I have to do is I can also still access it, but with a different option. So I'll go to instance setting. I'll remove this. I don't want to attach any role, no role. Okay. Now I'll see whether I'll be able to access it or not. I have removed a role now. Now I try to say the same option. It says unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure. So there is one more way to do it, which is AWS configure. But when you do that, your credentials will be stored on the server. Now I'll show you how it works. You want AWS, and then I'll click on configure. I click on this configure. It will ask for access key ID. If you remember, this is what we have got when we have created a user and we have given programmatic access to it, right? So this access key ID, I have already stored in my desktop. So I'll go to that and I'll try to access that. So I have already stored this. I'll copy the security key, access key, and then I'll copy paste here. Then it is asking for secret key also. Secret key also I have. I copy and paste it here. It is asking for default region name. I don't need to give anything. It will take the default region name. And output format I don't need to give. It will take the default format. Now, if I try to access S3, it will access it because the user which I have created, I have given administrative access to it. So because of that, the access key and secret key which I provided, it understands that this is the user who is having administrative accesses, so he can access any service by default. But if you see this one, this access key and secret key, anyone can copy and then they can start using my account. So this is not the security best practice. That is the reason we give a role. So role will be like giving temporary permissions to that particular user, and that will be lost. So once the usage is done, the password will be lost. Again, it will create a new user. It will keep on rotating the permissions every time. It will keep on rotating the passwords every time. That way, it is very secure. I hope this role concept is clear because roles is actually very complicated concept, but I try to ensure like this is taken care in a easy and simple demo. And so let's move on to the next topic, which is like federation. So suppose if you're working for a company called Google, you will have your own email ID for Google, and they'll have an active directory. Using that active directory, if you want to log into AWS, you can do that way also. Rather than creating an IAM user, you can use your active directory to log into this particular thing. This is also one more very important way to access your users. Now, demo on IAM roles, we have already seen this. Now, understanding client access. So, till now we have learned about how we can access public cloud and how we can create users, roles, and groups. Now, I'll show you one very simple example here. Very easy diagram. I don't know if it is easy or not, but it is actually a proper secure diagram. Here, first thing as security comes is like the networking. So not everyone can enter into your network. Your network should be so secure that not everyone can be able to enter into it. You have to open some ports only to few people. Like it is like few IP addresses as well. Like if I say I have created a virtual private cloud. VPC is nothing but a virtual private cloud. It is a set of IP addresses. Suppose it has almost like 65. I can assign 65,531 IP addresses to it. This is as a VPC. This is on top level, and in VPC, so this is VPC. In VPC, I can create subnets. Subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, and many more. So each and every subnet will be having this is like suppose if it is having 65,000 IP addresses. My subnet one can have 255 addresses or 4091 or whatever. I can define a CIDR range to it. CIDR is nothing but classless inter-domain routing. It is like a set of IP addresses which I can assign it to. So my IP address will look like suppose 10.0.0.0/24. If I give this way, it will have 2 power 8 IP addresses. There is a formula to understand how it works. After the slash, whatever number is there, that is called as n. So your formula would be 2 power 32 minus n. Whatever comes after that, those many IP addresses you will be having access to. Okay. So you can create some subnets. So this is one subnet which I have created. This is another subnet which I have created. And one is a public subnet and another is a private subnet. What is the difference between public subnet and private subnet? Only difference here is this public subnet can easily access internet. And private subnet will not be able to access internet directly. It has to go through a mechanism called as NAT gateway. NAT is network address translation. So what it does is we create a NAT gateway in public subnet and your private EC2. So whatever virtual machines created in private subnet, if they want to access internet, they'll go through this route table, they will go through this path, they will talk to NAT gateway, they'll say like NAT gateway, this is what I wanted to do. So my DB2 is here, suppose database is here, and I want to have an upgrade. So I'll say the request to NAT gateway. NAT gateway will send the request to router. From there it goes to internet, and then it will connect to the internet, outside internet, and from there it downloads the data or upgrades the database. So outside world will never come to know whether your private EC2 is sending the request. It will be like your public, if some public instance is sending a request. So that way you are securing your database, because database should not be open to all. It is only like it should be private, because the data is residing in it. You cannot show the data to everyone. Data is important here in this world of digital world. Data is very important. So you have to secure your data. So only way to secure is remove the internet access, but still to perform some actions like upgrades and all, you need to go through using an ad gateway, which will help you to access internet in an indirect way, not a direct way, indirect way. So other people outside the world or the hackers outside the world will not be knowing that your private institute is trying to access internet. So that way it is very secure. So this is the structure of VPC which I was talking about. Now, if I have an on-premise server, on-premise when I say it is a data center, think that this is a data center of any company. It is outside. This is not in cloud, not in cloud. Is in your organization. Suppose if you take an example of Vaagdevi College, if they have their own data center in their own premises, like in Bollywood, they have their own data center, right? So if they want to access internet, if they want to access cloud-based services from their data center securely, they can use this option, which is customer gateway. This is the first step. They'll open some ports here, and then site-to-site VPN connection they have to create. Using VPN gateway, they can directly talk to all the resources which are there inside the cloud. So this is how clients we can access from here to there and there to here. We can securely maintain a network so that whatever data is transferred, it is secured from other people. So this is one more way to secure the data center and secure the data also here. Any questions till now? I know I have talked too many things about security and authentication. Any doubts till now? If you want, I can take 5 more minutes on question clarification as well, because this is very important to understand. If you have any questions, you can keep on asking. You can even type in the chat window as well. I can check those questions from there as well. If you have any questions, or if you are clear to go to other point, then we can jump on to other slides as well. Everything is clear. Okay. So I take the silence as yes. So here we have also seen few other services. If you see the VPC, this is the box I was talking about. This is the VPC box, and you see the other services of AWS, which is outside the VPC box, right? So this is like AWS. On the outer box is nothing but AWS services. So to access S3, to access CloudWatch or DynamoDB, you will have to create roles. Using roles, you can directly talk to these services also. Because VPC is a network where you create your own virtual machines or storage and everything and create. And from here, if you want to access anything outside of this network, like any AWS services and all, right? You can also do that very well using Internet Gateway. If you are in public subnet, you can use Internet Gateway directly. Internet Gateway is nothing but an ISP provider kind of internet service provider. It can be ATAL or any internet service provider. So that will help us to attach to any of the services here. And to securely access your data center, you have customer gateway, site-to-site VPN, and VPN gateway. You would have seen like if you are working for any organization, IT organization or any company, then you will have a VPN to connect to your network. Even if you are working from home, nowadays everyone is working from home. So how they are securely connecting to the internet or network, which client nothing but they want to securely connect to client network, they'll have to have a secure connection. This is nothing but called as VPN. So they use Cisco routers or Cisco Citrix or VPN services with which they can directly talk to client network securely. That so that no one else from outside world will be able to access your network. So that is why they always say like if you are having your own laptop also, you have to install this VPN. Then only you should be able to access it. This is one more. Now, if we don't have any questions, I'll jump on to public and private cloud. We'll understand how public and private cloud, what are the advantages of it and disadvantages of it, right? In detail. So there are three, I would say like four deployment models. One is public cloud, another is private cloud. Then we have hybrid cloud also, and also multi-cloud. Okay, we will see it in more detail with an example, so that it will be easy for you to understand. Like, let me jump onto this. So suppose think that public cloud, the thing which I've just shown you, I have created an account in AWS directly. And I've started using my AWS using an IAM user. I have created an IAM user and started using the services. I have just used a service called EC2. I have shown you S3. I have shown you roles. I have shown you users, right? All those services which are there in AWS, I can use it because it is a public cloud. Anyone can create an account. Any organization can create an account, and all those organizations are going to use these services in a shared way, a shared manner. So, supposing that AWS is having suppose 1,000 servers. The 1,000 servers, take one server. In that one server, you might be having one company called Google, another company called Deloitte, or another company called suppose Mindtree. Right? You can have multiple companies using the same resources. Okay, this is called shared resources, and that is the reason everyone says it is not very much secure. Why it is not secure? Again, security has 2 points, two sides of the coin. One is security is not just managed by cloud; it is a managed service. As I discussed earlier, it is a managed service, and the responsibility lies on both cloud provider as well as the users who are going to use this. So cloud provider has given up some security rules like you have to have an MFA, you have to have a password policy, right? And so many other options there. Like you have to use only groups for setting permissions. You'll have to create a MFA for root account also. You have to have a password policy, right? These are all the things. So even after they have given these policies, it is my right, it is my responsibility to take care of all this. If I don't take care of any of this, it means I am risking out on the security part. So that is why when people say public cloud is not secure enough, I always defer to that particular discussion because that is not true. Public cloud also is can be more secure if you have security best practices implemented as per the cloud provider business say. Okay? So this is one thing. And when we come to private cloud, so examples of public cloud are again you can give for AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Azure, which is Microsoft Azure, or you can go for Oracle. Oracle also have their cloud. IBM has their own cloud called IBM Cloud. Likewise, you have Alibaba Cloud as well for Chinese clients. Likewise, you have many cloud providers. Okay. So in the market, we have AWS as the leaders. If you see the Gartner magic chart, you can see AWS as top, and then Azure reaching to AWS, and then GCP, which is almost in the magic quadrant. Okay? So that is why we these are the leaders in the market now. Here, actual also market. So this is public cloud. Now, when I talk about private cloud, how is it different from public cloud, and what is a private cloud? So private cloud is similar to a data center which we have. Suppose now we'll understand what is a data center first of all. Suppose Vaagdevi colleges are having are thinking to have a own data center of their own and their storage service of their own. So they can they purchase some softwares like purchase some servers and purchase some storage mechanisms here. Okay. So think that they have one server and that server is able to handle so much of load. Like it is a very big, very good server with very good configuration. It has supposed to terabytes of data, or 20 terabyte of data storage, and 10 GB RAM. Okay, and some four CPUs, four core or four CPUs, you can say. Okay. Now this is the server they have. And if they want to, suppose if they want to upgrade this, if they want to add one more server, because number of students are increasing day by day in Vaagdevi College due to the popularity of Vaagdevi College. So think that it is increasing, the popularity is increasing day by day, and to maintain those data as well, they wanted to have one more server, because this one server will not be able to take care of the entire load. So they need to have one more server. So they'll have to procure this database, this server from outside. So procurement process is a bit lengthy process, because they'll have to go with some bidding, bid process. Like people will be bidding for, like, okay, I'll be giving you for this much price, and for they'll go with the best price. They'll select one vendor and they'll order it. So when they order it, they'll not get it on that moment itself. It'll take at least, think that 15 to 20 days minimum to get the software or hardware or server. Here we have server. So this much time I'll have to wait if I want to upgrade my server here, or if I want to add one more server here. So this is the disadvantage of a on-premise service. This is called on-premise. On-time provisioning is not possible here. Now, if you see the public cloud, I just try to create an EC2 machine, which is nothing but a server, right? Yeah, I have created a EC2 machine with one good configuration. Within few clicks, I need not do all those long process of trying to procure a software or hardware, go with the bidding process, wait for 15 to 20 days, and this is also not guaranteed date of departure. Like it may take some more days for the delivery. In this COVID situation, it is very difficult to get the delivery also on time. So think that this is a situation on on-premise. It is very difficult to get a service provisioned faster. And in public cloud, you can get it easily, like easy to, you can directly create an EC2, and you can have the virtual machine up and running. You can keep on adding number of servers. You can even get 100,000 servers in a few clicks also. Right? In place of one server, I can give 100,000 servers also. I can get those many servers also. Provisioned on demand. Right? But here, in from on-premise, you will not be able to get that benefit out of it, and that is the reason uh, the people are moving towards cloud rather than going with the traditional approach. Now, think about private cloud. Private cloud is similar to, again, uh, similar to this data center, but only advantage they have is virtualization. So virtualization is nothing but using some softwares like OpenStack um, and some setups. What they can do is they can get this thing provisioned by the cloud provider itself directly, and they can go for virtualization. So what is virtualization? I'll explain in a very brief way how it looks like. Suppose think that in a traditional think that this is a laptop 1 and laptop 2, or server 1 or server 2, and it has 4 core, 16 GB RAM, and 1 terabyte hard disk. 1 terabyte hard disk. Okay. And similar configuration you have for another server also, 6 GB RAM and 1 terabyte hard disk. Suppose this is a Windows machine and this is a Linux machine. Okay. So the difference here is operating system is different here. And now I have two applications to be deployed. Okay. And sorry, four applications I have to deploy. All the four are to be, suppose all three are to be deployed on a Windows machine, and one to be deployed on Linux machine. So based on the capacity I have, I may not deploy all the three applications here, because my three Windows applications require, suppose, huge space like 1.5 terabyte one application will take, suppose, and 20 GB another server, and 30 GB another server. Okay, if I go this way, I need to have at least 2 terabyte of storage, right? So here, if I say I cannot deploy all the three applications in this particular one machine itself, so I can install only two applications here, and third application, because it is a Windows application, I cannot install it on Linux machine. So these are all the disadvantages of uh, not having virtualization. So if I see the same problem in cloud, I can achieve this easily in cloud. So think that again the same thing, 4 core, 16 GB RAM, and 1 terabyte hard disk. This is the system I have. One more, suppose think that this is a cloud and they have only two servers. Though they will have more than 1,000 or more than 10,000 servers, but still think that only they have two servers, just for our example, 60 GB RAM and 1 terabyte hard disk. Here, the advantage here is I don't need to have any operating system installed on top of it. Now, there is a virtualization topic, which is nothing but called as VM. It is nothing but like it will make you feel that, or it will make you feel that you have almost 8 core. It is sum of these two configurations. It will show you that it has 8 GB, 8 core, sorry, 8 core and 32 GB RAM and a 2 terabyte hard disk. And here on top of it, you can create multiple virtual machines with whatever configuration you want. Because I have three Windows applications, I can create a VM1, VM2, and VM3 of Windows applications. Okay, and I have one Linux machine to be created, so I'll create one more Linux machine here, VM4, which is a Linux machine. So these three are Windows. I can create it of my own configuration. So if my first application wants only 2 core, uh, 8 GB RAM, and 50 GB hard disk, I can create this virtual machine and assign it to VM1. Similarly, I can create one more configuration for VM2, which can be like 4 core, 16 GB RAM, and 50 GB hard disk. Likewise, I can keep on adding everything, and actually, this virtualization makes you feel it gives an illusion that you have this much of storage, though in reality, we have only this much per server. So here, you can attach any number of virtual machines till the capacity of your servers. Because cloud has so many servers, thousands of servers, it makes our life easier to create multiple virtual machines and you can utilize them. So this benefit you can get it in private cloud. So all the things which are there in on-premise, you will have that in private cloud. But along with that, you will also have this virtualization help. So private cloud, why they go for is for data privacy. As I told you earlier, like public cloud, people think that it is less secure because it is open to all, and because this is in your organization only, you the security for the data is more. Some companies like Anthem, which is like a healthcare provider, they follow some guidelines called as HIPAA guidelines for compliance. Okay, these guidelines and all everything they have to manage for compliance. So that is why they go for public cloud, private cloud, and they will have this compliance requirements on this private cloud easily. So that way they can keep their data secure. And one very good example of private cloud is AWS Go Cloud. Go Cloud. So this Go Cloud is meant for US Army and government officials. So if someone says that cloud is not secured enough, tell them that that is an old phenomena or old understanding of people. You can see, you can take an example of this Gov cloud and say like US Army and government officials are using this Gov cloud, which is a private cloud. That means how much security it should be, right? Because they have their army details, army data, and government official data. Everything is present in Gov cloud. So that way, now recently, like I mean, you can see that how matured the cloud is in the security field. And that is why we go for private cloud more often. And private cloud is bit more costlier because it has to be installed in your own organization rather than public cloud. Like when I wanted to have a virtual machine, I can get it with a few clicks. But it is not the same case with private cloud. That is the reason the cost will be more. But again, if you want to compromise on cost, you have to compromise on security as well. Right? That way they go for it. Now, why we go for hybrid cloud? The third one is hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is nothing but public plus private. So if you want to get both the benefits of public as well as private, because in private, if you want to increase number of servers, it is again going to be a tedious task. Again, I have to go with the same procurement process and all, everything it will take some time. But if I go with public, I can directly go for adding any number of virtual machines here easily. And one more thing, for data privacy, we want to go for this private cloud. So think that you have 10 applications, of which only two applications require data privacy. So host those two applications into private cloud, and the remaining 8 applications you can host it on public cloud. That way you can take the benefit of both public as well as private cloud. Okay. So this is one more advantage of hybrid cloud. One more thing which I've discussed earlier is multi-cloud. So nowadays, clients are not going with just one cloud. Suppose if AWS is one thing, they are not using only AWS for everything. They might go with Azure for a few other options like DevOps. Just an example. Or they might go with the Google Cloud platform if they want to go for artificial intelligence or machine learning related TensorFlow, because TensorFlow is developed by Google. They have very good command on AI and ML. So clients now are looking at like broader approach. They're not just sticking to one client, one cloud. Rather than they're going with multi-cloud to get the benefit out of it, right? So this is the advantage of having multi-cloud. Yeah. So I am actually done with the session. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This is the time. If you didn't understand anything, I'm very much happy to answer your questions. I could see some questions here on the chat window. Okay, which is the OS on which AWS run? AWS is not an server. AWS is a service provider. Okay, AWS is nothing but a cloud service provider. Now, what I say is, think that AWS is a cloud service. Suppose if you see Airtel, Airtel is it is a ISP, internet service provider, right? They just provide you the internet service. Similarly, cloud is also like it is a cloud. AWS is also like a cloud provider. Cloud provider. So it means they have their own data centers, multiple places, multiple regions. They have data centers, and anyone can access this particular data centers, or anyone can create a virtual machine. Virtual machine can be of Linux or of Windows, any machine. They can create and start using it. So AWS doesn't. It is not like a. It is not a virtual machine. It is not a virtual machine. It is a service provider, cloud service provider. Nothing more. Yeah, community cloud is also similar, like a few healthcare departments like Anthem or Anthem plus UHG plus some other service provider. They try to take a private cloud, which is a community cloud again. Like all these resources will be shared among these particular organizations. That is community cloud. Rightly pointed, yes. Then we have, why does not the cloud providers run out of space or out of RAM? A good question, because they keep on adding multiple servers every now and then. It is not just like they started with. So if you see AWS, they started 10 years before. Like they were the first providers, and they keep on adding number of services. I'll show you with an example here. Maybe it's like AWS. I show you the global infrastructure, then you'll understand more in detail, like why they don't run out of memory. Because there are few more things like on spot instances, reserved instances, and on demand instances. There are three ways you can get a virtual machine provision to you. So when you go for on demand, like you are not giving a commitment like this much time I'll use it. But when we are going for reserved instances, you are giving a commitment like, okay, for 1 year I want to reserve this particular instance, and then I don't want to release it. So there are some on-spot instances like maybe like you took it only for a few times, and you have left that room. So now this is open to everyone. So that way they keep on shuffling the resources, and because they have huge data centers everywhere, you can see 24 launch regions they have. This is the global infrastructure of AWS. They have 24 launch regions, and the region is nothing but a data center. Think that it's a data center. Sorry, a region is nothing but a geographical location here. It can be like, was if I show you here, in India we have Mumbai as a location which has three availability zones. So three availability zones in the sense three data centers they have. So this is a region. Mumbai is a region here. Likewise, if you see in US, you have Oregon, North Carolina, and you can see number of availability zones. You can see this one, Go Cloud, which I was talking about, private cloud, and you can see multiple lists, right? So they have 24 launched regions, means 24 different 245 countries they have access to, and three new announced regions. So they have three more regions which are getting added. So they keep on adding number of regions, and that is why they are market leader here based on the availability they have. And they have 77 availability zones, 77 data centers they have. Think how huge it would be, right? And two local zones, two wavelength zones. They have also some edge locations which are like used for caching purpose. So it is just a physical server where you cache the data. Like if you have Netflix, and if you are trying, if Netflix is installed, suppose it is deployed onto US servers. But if you are trying to access from here, you're trying to access some videos in Netflix here, it will show you the nearby location, which is the edge location, which is near to your location, which is in Mumbai, suppose. It will take the data from US server and cache it into this edge location so that you can get the data faster. It will reduce the latency also here. They have 205 edge locations and 11 regional edge caches also. So that way you can see they have so much huge infrastructure, because of which they don't run out of it. There could be some reasons. Sometimes they might also get into it, but probably I think they do it multiple times. They keep on adding the new servers, so that is the reason I think that might not be a reality very soon. Okay, so okay, if you are using virtual server on AWS, is there any way client can know the configuration of server? What configuration are you looking at, Shekhar, here? Configuration. If the client is able to SSH into that particular server, or if they have access to that particular management console, then he or she can be able to get the configuration of configuration details of it. The configuration details, when you are creating EC2 machine itself, it will be asking you. Suppose if I show you here, if I try to launch an instance here, I click on this machine. I haven't gone through each and every detail of EC2 machine, but if you see here, I can go for different CPUs. How many CPUs I want, how much memory I want, and what are the storage requirements I have. All those I can mention it here. So based on this, suppose if I have huge memory requirement, I'll go with huge memory here. I'll go with 60 GB or whatever SSD, and this is the SSD memory which is getting assigned to it, and the bandwidth is 12 gigabytes. So this is the configuration of that particular server. When you are creating a server for the client, you already know this configuration which has to be taken care.
No, no,
Because
no.
yeah,
Sir, actually,
trying to speak. So the configuration details are present here itself. When you are trying to create a server itself, you can see the configuration details also. You can also see the number of CPUs you want, what is the storage capacity you want, what is the bandwidth you want. All those data you can see here. And also storage. And here, this is what I was talking about, number of instances. I can give 100,000 instances also here. And I can create those many instances at once. This is also one more very important thing. So that is one thing, and also storage, hard disk drive. How much hard disk I want to have? Whether I want to go with solid state device, or I want to go with magnetic, which is HDD hard disk drive, or how many volumes I want to add, how much space I want to have. Everything you are already configuring it while doing configuration of your server directly. That way, you are already taking care of all those things. And the client will, after talking to the client only, you will understand like, okay, this is what I wanted to use for this particular application to be deployed. That is how we keep doing it. So they will be aware of it. Okay, can you say about community cloud? Yeah, we have already discussed that. Yeah, so AWS provides IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. Yes, that is also there. That is called as deployment models. Sorry, service models. In the service models, we have IaaS, which I told you already. Like you can, while creating a EC2 machine, also we have seen like we have chosen a AMI. AMI is nothing but a machine image. Machine image. Amazon is given a machine image which has a default software installed on it. You can use this as a plain server, and then you can start implementing your application on top of it. That is called as application as sorry IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. And if you want to directly run deep learning algorithms and all, you need not do the setup also. You can just search for deep learning here. They will have the servers based on deep learning, and you can directly use the server. as a platform as a service, and you can start implementing your AI/ML related applications here. So it acts as a platform as a service also. And the software as a service, we have already seen this. S3 is software as a service. I can, it is object storage. I have already have it as a drive. I can directly use it as a software. Okay. Also, they have some other software as a service like Lightsail. Lightsail is one more very good service about AWS. It is like to host any server. You can directly host a WordPress server directly using Lightsail here. There is an option to do it. Select the location and then you can do this operation. Yeah, see, you can select the platform here. You can select the application or the OS which you want to install. That way, you can also have your WordPress application ready directly and
Hello.
working. Yes, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, sir. My question is, AWS provide different types of language to create the application. Just I know that about already I have training in Salesforce. So Salesforce, you know that Salesforce will provide the different type of language to create the application. Just I want to confirm it. Is AWS also providing?
So AWS is not technology centric, it is technology agnostic. So if you want to create any application on Node.js or Java or Python, you can very well do it. You can create some Lambda services and start using it. Or you can create some SDK programs as well. So I'll show you one example here. One is Lambda service. You go to Lambda, it is like a function as a service. We have already discussed about three: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. This is one more very important function as a service. You can create a function here. You can write any program from scratch. You can write any program in Node.js or .NET or Go language or Java or Python, Ruby, .NET, many other languages. So it is not technology specific like Azure. I would say Azure and Google are more technology specific because Azure will mostly prefer you to go with the .NET application. So if you want to go with as a platform as a service, like if you want to develop some applications on .NET, you probably go with your Azure service. So that way it is technology agnostic actually. AWS is more technology agnostic.
Okay, thanks a
I
lot.
hope I have answered. No worries. Okay, so any other questions? I am just looking at. So Shekhar, I wanted to know why you are very much specific, like why client has to do the configuration. Again, client is not the one. Client, when we are providing a solution, we discuss everything with the client. Like this is what the configuration which I have for this particular software to be deployed. So they will definitely know it. So do you want to hide it from them, or like what is exact use case of it?
Hello, sir. I'm audible.
Yes.
Actually, we are using the virtual server, but we are facing the issues from the server like low or delay or latency. So directly, we are not able to ask them to the admins what is the configuration. So just want to know about it.
So are you using which service you are using here?
I think they told me that Moodle service. Moodle service.
Which one?
Moodle service, sir.
Can you spell it?
MOODLE. We deployed a learning management system like that.
Okay.
Learning management system. We deployed it on a virtual server, but sometimes we are facing the delay or latency.
Which server it is? Is it a Linux server or is it a Windows server?
I think Windows server.
So Windows server, you can get the configuration from there itself, right? What is the configuration? You can go to your it's a Windows server. You can get the configuration details from here. Now, what configuration details you are looking at? This is the properties. From where you can get the configuration details also. Right? It is simple like a server, right? At the end, it is a server. It is like a system.
Yeah.
If it is a Windows server, you can go it from here. If it is a Linux server, you can directly use etc/releases and you can get the release version and all the details. What is the configuration of it and everything you can get it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So that way you can get it. And then if you get the access to server, you can get the details automatically.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you very much.
How to create an application on AWS? We don't create an application on AWS. We deploy application on AWS. So that is how it works. So you create an application somewhere, and if you want to deploy, you deploy it. Suppose if I want to deploy, I told you here one example with the WordPress application. So I install WordPress application using Lightsail, but again, like I have to give some path from where I can copy the exact files or exact designs and then start doing on it. So configuration, sorry, deployment happens on AWS. You want to create an application, you have to create it separately. That is again like you have to use the language for that, and then you can start doing an application creation. Then you can use DevOps services like code commit, code pipeline, and all those, and you can deploy it onto AWS, or you can create a server and then deploy on top of it. It's as simple as that. How many buckets can you create in AWS? There is no such. I have to check it out because there is a huge documentation for each and every service. But again, like I don't think there is a restriction as such. But again, like how much storage you can, how much data you can transfer, that might be a limitation. Like you cannot transfer more than 50 GB at once. So you have to split the files into small files and then try to upload it. That way, they have some limits. And will migration of legacy applications onto the cloud is possible? It is possible if you want to have. So it is like a mindset of the client has to change. That if nowadays people are trying to migrate everything to cloud. So when we say legacy, I remember only mainframes here as a legacy one. So nowadays everyone is trying to move to cloud. So they are having the mainframe server as a backend and then trying to move everything front end into our cloud providers. That way they are able to do it. But again, because legacy applications are very costlier applications and they have spent huge amount on that, everything takes into place. So when a client wants to migrate from this to there, they'll have to think of many things, not just whether it is only possible thing or not, right? So that is the reason they do all those calculations whether the cost is it cost effective or not, is it beneficial or not. So how much part is beneficial they move it to cloud, and how much part is not beneficial to move to cloud because they've already spent on infrastructure. So they might stick to the servers. So backend they might stick to mainframes, and then front end they might go with Java or some other front end applications. Can we launch a container Docker and access GUI-based applications? Yes, you can very well do. They have EKS services, which is Elastic Kubernetes services. Docker and Kubernetes can both be parallelly working. So Kubernetes is nothing but a orchestration tool which can help us to install or you can launch some containers also on top of it. And you can use EKS. EKS is very easy to use. If you want to create a Kubernetes deployment server by your own, it will take huge time and it will be like very difficult to start up because the configuration details are very complicated. But if you see the same thing with AWS, it is very easy. Or you can go with Azure also, you can go with GKE also. Yes. How to create application? Application again, this is see, this is not something we are discussing here. So creating the application is something which is not in scope of this cloud. Cloud is like you can whatever services you can deploy on. Suppose if you are having a normal traditional server, let us think that you have a normal server. Think that you want to create an application. Think that you want to create an application like Ola. You will have to do a coding part, right? You will have to have a language selected for that. Java is a language suppose you selected, or then you have selected suppose Tomcat server, and then you selected a database called MongoDB, and then you started developing an application regularly like you used to do. And then when you deploy it onto the server. So for deploying onto the server, you need to have the runtime applications, runtime environment ready. Like for Java, you have to have JRE ready. You have to have a Tomcat server ready. So all those you have to install on top of the servers. Suppose if you're taking a Linux machine, in Linux machine, it will be plain Linux machine when you're taking it on Windows. Sorry, when you're taking it on AWS. So you'll have to install all Git. You have to install if you are going for repository CI/CD pipeline. You have to install Git. You have to install Jenkins. You have to install all the software required for it. Java runtime environment. Java you have to install. Then start copying the application from Git repository. Then deploy it onto the server. It is like you are getting a virtual machine, and whatever things you can do usually with a normal laptop or with a normal system or normal server, you can do the same things on your cloud as well. So cloud here is only helping us to deploy. It is not helping us to develop an application here. I hope this is clear. Can I actually I have faced some applications, basic information like RAM, CPU, without having access to console or admin panel. So you might not be given full access. That's what I was saying. They might be giving some restricted access to people. So administrator only will be able to help out with this detail. So what RAM they have selected, what is the CPU they have selected, what is the hard disk space they have selected. All right. So those details you will get it from your admin only. Cheryl, I didn't understand your question. Can you step by step procedure give? Review step by step procedure. For what? Question is not complete. Yeah. So how is AWS Academy different than AWS? Uh, Academy is nothing for learning purpose. They give some learning videos because AWS is again everyone wants their service to be used. So that is why they give some training videos. From there you can learn how to use your AWS services. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Session PPT, I'll share it to you. What are edge locations? Edge locations are like, suppose I'll show you with an example. I don't know if I'm running out of time, but if I can give a few minutes on this, I can. Edge location is nothing but, so suppose you have deployed your Netflix. Suppose Netflix has deployed the server on US North Virginia region, suppose. Okay, and you are an Indian customer. You are an Indian customer trying to access some movie, suppose Shakuntala Devi movie. Okay, the recent one, Shakuntala Devi movie. You want to access it. So when you search for this on Netflix.com here, then it will check the edge location. For there is an edge location here. If they have edge locations, they will go for edge location. It will check the details here, whether the details are present here or not for Shakuntala Devi. If they don't have, they will go to the server, copy the data into this, and this data will be there here for 24 to 48 hours. Now from here this will be telecasted. So for this it will take some time. The latency will be more here. Latency will be more. Latency is nothing but the request when it's sent to server, the response time from there to your laptop again. So next time, suppose if another user tries to search for the same movie, Shakuntala Devi, it will not go to the server now. It will just go to this edge location. Okay, it has the data. It will fetch it and it will show it. So this edge location will be probably in, suppose if it is in Mumbai, you are in India and it is in Mumbai. So getting a data from Mumbai is very easy than to get it from US. So this way it is used for caching purpose. The caching is done only it is, so the data will be 24 to 48 hours old. Okay, and it is a content delivery network, which is content distribution network, content delivery network, content delivery network. This is not the new concept, it is an old concept only. They are using it in cloud as well. CDN network recorders. Or they can also, there is also one more thing called as CloudFront, which is also helping us with this particular thing. So they are trying to cache the data. This is only a physical server, which is only used to cache. Store the data, cache the data for 24 to 48 hours. Again, it will be refreshed with the new data. That way, if multiple users are trying to search for the same movie, they can get it faster. This is how edge location works. Okay, I hope I have answered all the questions. And in case you have any other questions, you can reach me out on this email ID as well. You can make a note of this email ID. You can reach me out on this, and I would be more than happy to help you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Harikishan, sir. Am I
Yeah,
audible?
ma'am. Yes, yes, I can. Hear you.
Yeah. Any more participants have any queries? I think no. So thank you so much, sir. Your session was highly knowledgeable, and fortunately, you have added lot of curiosity among the participants unknowingly for our afternoon session, which is completely hands-on on AWS, sir. Now afternoon from 2 o'clock onwards, all the participants will have 2 hours complete hands-on on AWS. So curiosity and enthusiasm has been created among all the participants with your session and all. And thank you so much for clearing each and every participant's doubt with so much of patience. And your session was extremely good in research-oriented and practical approach, sir. Thank you so much. We are privileged to have you as a speaker for today, sir.
Thank you so much. It's really privileged to have all those customers, I mean, all those audiences, which is very interactive. So I'm very happy actually that
Many of them are PhD holders here, sir, but still enthusiastic to learn and start their research in the area of cloud because it is an upcoming area. And I include myself also into that because when I was doing my PhD, this was not the area. But now cloud is really occupying our entire space. So even I started my list a little of research work in cloud. So I'm listening to each and every session in spite of being coordinator. So thank you so much, sir. The session was really very, very encouraging to all our participants. Thank you once again, sir.
thank you so much.